Nolia wasn't just any giantess. She was a protector of the real Earth, standing taller than skyscrapers, watching over humanity like a guardian angel with killer beats. Most people never saw her. She existed in a realm just slightly out of phase with normal reality, a silent watcher, keeping the real Earth safe from whatever cosmic forces tried to mess with it. But beyond her duty, Nolia had a passion: music. Whether it was a heart-thumping bass of a battle or the chill flow of a soft melody, she lived for the rhythm. And yet, even with her powerful presence, she was alone until she met him. His name was Cade, a human, a normal-sized guy with a love for the same kind of music she adored. Their first encounter? A chance meeting in an abandoned concert hall where he was laying down sick beats on a soundboard. Nolia, intrigued by his skills, challenged him to a friendly rap battle. The moment their voices intertwined over beat, it was like magic. They vibed instantly. That first battle turned into hours of just hanging out, swapping playlists, and laughing at the weirdest stuff. Cade didn't even seem fazed that she was a literal giantess. If anything, he thought it was kinda cool. By the end of the night, Nolia leaned down, her massive golden eyes soft as she asked, "Hey, wanna be my boyfriend?" Cade blinked up at her, grinning. Hell yeah. And just like that, they were a thing. Dating a giantess? Yeah, not exactly something Cade ever expected in his life. But here he was, vibing with Nolia, the massive, badass guardian of the real Earth. Their dates were insane in the best way. Sometimes, Nolia would carry him in her hands, talking about their favorite music and swapping songs through a custom-made earpiece she gave him. Other times, they'd chill on the tallest buildings, watching the city lights flicker while they made beats together. One time, she literally picked up an entire floating concert stage just so they could have a private show in the clouds. Another time, they spent the night on top of a radio tower, sharing earbuds while watching the city lights below. It wasn't normal, but honestly, normal was overrated. One night, Cade convinced Nolia to shrink down to human size. Just for a little while, they walked to the city hand in hand, getting street food, visiting underground music spots, and dancing under neon lights. "You look cute like this," Cade teased as they sat on a park bench, sharing a milkshake. Nolia rolled her eyes but smirked. "I could still crush you in a rap battle. Try me, babe." And they did, right there in the park, rapping back and forth as strangers gathered, cheering them on. Cade loved how chill Nolia was despite being, massive. She was funny down to earth, pun intended, and had the best music taste. They could talk for hours about beats, lyrics, and the feeling of a song hitting just right. But there was something about Cade that made her curious too. The way he looked at the world like it was some brand new, untouched thing. The way he'd stare at sunsets like they were some impossible magic trick. The way he hesitated sometimes, like he wasn't sure if he really belonged here. One night, while they were chilling, Cade lay on Nolia's stomach, using her like the world's comfiest, warmest mattress. He went quiet. Not his usual chill silence either. This was different. "Hey, Nolia?" His voice was softer than usual. She hummed, running her fingertip lazily across his back. "Yeah." He hesitated. "I never really told you about my past, huh?" Nolia raised a brow. "Nope, but I'm listening." Cade exhaled, like he was getting ready to drop the weirdest fact ever. Which, spoiler alert, I lived inside my mom's stomach for the first 15 years of my life. Nolia's fingers froze. Her eyes widened, and for a second, all she could do was process what he just said. "Wait, what?" Cade let out a small, awkward laugh, rubbing the back of his neck. "Yeah, sounds weird, right? But it's true. I wasn't, born the normal way. My mom kept me inside her. I only started living out here in the real world a couple years ago, and ever since, everything feels so big, cold. I love the world, but sometimes I miss that warmth. That feeling of being completely surrounded, Nolia blinked. Wait, hold up. You weren't just, a baby in there?" You grew up inside her. Cade nodded. Yeah, I could hear her voice, feel her heartbeat. It was warm, safe, like I was home all the time. And don't get me wrong, I love being out here. I love music, the sky, the way the wind feels on my face. And obviously, I love being with you. Her face softened. But he sighed, his fingers fidgeting against the fabric of his hoodie. But sometimes, I miss that feeling of being surrounded, of not having to think about anything, just existing in that warm, safe place. Out here, everything's huge, loud. Even when I'm happy, there's this little part of me that just... He trailed off, staring at the sky, misses it. Nolia stayed quiet for a moment, just watching him. And then, without saying a word, she scooped him up gently in both hands and pulled him to her chest. The steady thump-thump of her heartbeat echoed in his ears. Strong and steady, her warmth surrounded him. And he instinctively curled into it, eyes fluttering shut. "You're not alone, Cade," she whispered. "I got you." And he really, really believed that. The rooftop breeze was cool against Cade's skin as he sat next to Nolia, the giantess who had become his world. The sky stretched endlessly above them, the sun melting into deep oranges and purples, casting everything in a dreamlike glow. The city below buzzed with life, but up here it was just them. Two souls, caught somewhere between the beats of a song only they could hear. Nolia had been watching him. She always did, not in a weird way, but in that caring way, the way someone looks at you when they want to understand you, when they want to help but aren't sure how. Cade could feel it. That's why, when she spoke, her voice was softer than usual. "Hey, I've been thinking." Cade looked up, sipping on the soda he'd picked up from a street vendor earlier. "Yeah? About what?" Nolia hesitated, her fingers tapping against the rooftop, like a subconscious drumbeat. Finally, she met his gaze, golden eyes full of something deep, something real. "If you miss that feeling so much, I could help." Cade frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" Nolia bit her lip, her face turning the faintest shade of pink. It wasn't often that she hesitated. She was usually confident, always knowing what to say, what to do. But right now, she looked almost shy. I mean, if you ever wanted to feel that warmth again, to feel safe like you did before, I could, let you rest inside me. Cade blinked. His brain froze. "Nolia, are you serious?" She nodded slowly, keeping her gaze locked on his, gauging his reaction. "Only if you're comfortable with it," she added quickly. I care about you, Cade. And if that's something you need to feel safe, to feel at home again, then I want to be the one to give that to you." The weight of her words hit him like a slow-building beat drop. No one, not one person, had ever offered something like that to him before. Not in the way Nolia was. It wasn't just about comfort. It wasn't just about warmth. It was about trust. Cade's heart pounded as he looked at her, this towering, powerful being who had chosen him, who wanted to hold him in the most intimate way possible, not just physically, but emotionally. Slowly, he nodded. I think I'd really like that." Nolia's lips curled into a gentle smile, her expression full of nothing but love. "Then let's get you comfortable, babe." She moved carefully, her massive hands cradling him like he was the most precious thing in the world. Cade didn't feel small, he felt protected. Safe, like he belonged in her hands, like this was exactly where he was meant to be. His breath was steady as he leaned into her touch, his heartbeat syncing with hers. And as the city lights flickered below them, as the world carried on around them, Cade finally felt it, that deep, all-encompassing warmth. After that night, after she had wrapped him in warmth and comfort, something changed between them. It wasn't bad, far from it. It was just deeper, more intimate, like they had crossed some invisible threshold that made them closer than ever. The next morning, Cade stretched out on the softest surface imaginable, Nolia's palm. The warmth of her skin, the gentle rise and fall of her breath, the way she cradled him even in her sleep, it was all so comforting. He yawned, rubbing his eyes before glancing up at her massive face. She was still out cold, her long, wavy hair cascading over her shoulder, her lips slightly parted. "You're staring, tiny man." Cade flinched. "Damn, I thought you were asleep." Nolia smirked, cracking one eye open. "I can feel you staring. Your little heartbeat? It's loud." Cade rolled his eyes but grinned. "I swear you got a built-in subwoofer in your chest. You can hear everything." She chuckled, lifting him slightly so he sat just below her collarbone. "Maybe I just like keeping track of you. Gotta make sure my little dude's okay." He playfully nudged her skin. "I am okay. More than okay. Actually, that last night was unreal." Her expression softened. "Yeah." Cade nodded, rubbing the back of his neck. "I didn't know how to explain it. Just felt, right, like I was where I was supposed to be." Nolia's eyes flickered with something warm, something protective. She pulled him closer, until he was pressed against her chest again. "Then you can stay as long as you want." Cade melted into her touch. After that, things just clicked. They still had their normal dates. Rooftop stargazing, music battles, trips through neon-lit city streets. But there was something new between them. A level of trust Cade had never had with anyone before. Some nights, he didn't even want to sleep alone. The world outside was great, yeah, but there was nothing that compared to the safety of being wrapped in Nolia's embrace. So she'd hold him close, keeping him warm and protected, and he'd drift off feeling completely at peace. One night, as he lay against her, he mumbled, "You ever wonder if we're the weirdest couple on the planet?" Nolia laughed, her voice a soothing vibration through her chest. "Cade, babe, you met me in an abandoned concert hall while I was phasing between dimensions. You fell for a literal giantess. I think we've been weird from the start." Cade snorted. "Yeah, fair." She grinned. "You regret it?" He looked up at her, eyes soft. "Hell no." And he meant it, because no matter how strange their love was, no matter how different their worlds had once been, Nolia was his world now, and there was nowhere else he'd rather be. One evening, Cade sat cross-legged in Nolia's hand as she leaned back against a massive cliffside, staring at the sunset. The sky was a deep, fiery orange, the clouds like streaks of gold across the horizon. "I never thought I'd have something like this," Cade murmured. Nolia tilted her head. "Like what?" "But not just, like, a place to be, a home and someone." He looked up at her. "You're my home, Nolia." She didn't say anything at first, just stared down at him, her massive golden eyes soft, almost vulnerable. Then she lifted him gently, pressing a slow kiss to his tiny forehead. Cade grinned, leaning into her warmth. "You're my home, too."